Shortly after the coronavirus pandemic largely shut down the country's hotels and golf courses, the Trump Organization asked its longtime lender, Deutsche Bank, for a break on its monthly loan payments. President Trump's company owed the German bank a total of more than $300 million, most of which was on loans related to the Trump National Doral Golf Resort in Florida and the Trump International Hotel in Washington.
Deutsche Bank executives recently made an offer to the Trump Organization. The company could skip a number of payments on some of its loans, but the loans would eventually need to be repaid in full, according to people familiar with the matter. The offer was similar to what Deutsche Bank was proposing to other struggling clients.
The Trump Organization rejected the proposal, which officials concluded was not worth taking, the People said.
Deutsche Bank officials, which were wary of doing a financial favor for a president whose administration oversees the bank, were surprised that the Trump Organization did not accept the offered relief, however modest it might have been.
This is not the first time that the Trump Organization has sought to rework its debts to Deutsche Bank. In 2008, during the global financial crisis, the Trump company was due to repay a loan that had financed the construction of the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. After Deutsche Bank refused to extend the loan's due date, the Trump Organization sued the bank, blaming Deutsche Bank for causing the financial crisis and arguing that it constituted a contract-voiding act of God.
That lawsuit was eventually settled, but Deutsche Bank stopped working with Mr. Trump for a few years. The relationship was restarted in 2012 when the bank agreed to make a number of loans to the Trump company, including $125 million to finance the Doral Golf Resort.
President Trump on Monday suspended new work visas through at least the end of the year. The sweeping order denies employment permits for hundreds of thousands of skilled foreign workers, like programmers. Seasonal hospitality workers and work-study students are also affected.
The president cited the pandemic, saying that the visa programs pose an unusual threat to the employment of American workers.
The business world reacted with anger, putting up a "not welcome" sign for engineers, executives, IT experts, doctors, nurses and other workers won't help our country, it will hold us back, said Thomas Donahue of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Technology firms, which account for the bulk of H-1B visas, were particularly aghast.
Google's chief executive, Sundar Pichai, was disappointed by the decision.
In a statement, Amazon said that preventing high-skilled professionals from entering the country and contributing to America's economic recovery puts Americans' global competitiveness at risk.
Facebook said, highly skilled visa holders play a critical role in driving innovation, at Facebook and at organizations across the country, and that's something we should encourage, not restrict.
The chairman of Twitter, Patrick Pichette, who is Canadian, suggested an alternative, a message to all H-1B seekers: just look to the north, where we welcome you and your family with open arms.
Over the past several years, hospitals began to play innkeeper to open the door to more elective surgery, which is the lifeblood of their revenue.
They developed hotels near their operating rooms where patients, who often came from overseas for specialized treatments, could recover comfortably. Expanding into the hospitality business also allowed healthcare providers to avoid the high costs of being hosts themselves.
But as with so much else, the coronavirus pandemic has devastated medical tourism. To allow doctors to focus on emergencies, hospitals have canceled hip replacements and tummy tucks, while flight bans have grounded many foreign visitors.
Unfortunately, the future looks bleak, said Trey Hulsey, a co-founder of Hyacoam, a 3-year-old service that handles travel arrangements for patients from the Middle East bound for hospitals in Boston, Houston and Philadelphia. It's just been one blow after another.
Yet hospitals, whose costs have mounted as the pandemic dragged on, may have little choice but to revive the sector, according to some developers, who are forging ahead despite the uncertainty.
We want to be focused on the entire patient experience, said Ana Lopez Blasquez, an executive vice president at Baptist Health South Florida, which owns the Miami hospital.
The Walt Disney Company has decided to close Disney English, a 12-year-old chain of 25 language schools in China, ending a once promising business that, at times, prompted questions about education as brand building.
The learning centers, in 6 cities and using Disney characters like Mickey Mouse and The Little Mermaid in their curriculum, have been closed since late January, when the Chinese government began to take aggressive efforts to contain the coronavirus. Traditional schools have been allowed to slowly reopen, but some supplemental education centers, including Disney English, have remained closed.
Mahesh Samat, Disney's Executive Vice President of Consumer Products Commercialization in the Asia-Pacific region, told parents in a letter on Monday that Disney English had made the difficult decision not to reopen. The chain was founded in 2008, when China's fast-growing middle class had created increased demand for English language learning. Disney developed the curriculum in partnership with Columbia University.
He added that Disney was taking care of each and every teacher affected by the decision but did not specify how. Advance paid tuition will be refunded. The learning centers, aimed at children ages 2 to 12, charged roughly $2,000 annually for about 100 hours of instruction.
The coronavirus recession is pushing many companies into bankruptcy, a painful process that has led to layoffs, wiped out some investors and hurt the economy.
But the chief executives of some of these businesses are doing just fine.
Companies that are struggling to pay creditors and suppliers are managing to find millions of dollars to pay bonuses to their bosses. The payments, which are made just before a bankruptcy filing, appear to be legal and have been made by several companies.
J.C. Penney, which is closing 154 stores, paid its chief executive, Jill Soltau, $4.5 million. The chief executive of Whiting Petroleum, which sought bankruptcy protection in April, received $6.4 million, and Chesapeake Energy is paying bonuses ahead of an expected bankruptcy filing. Executives at Hertz also got payments before the rental car giants sought bankruptcy protection.
Companies have said the payments are meant to help them retain qualified executives through the recession and bankruptcy. But critics counter that the money would be better spent on rank-and-file employees.
Walmart said on Tuesday that it was removing all Mississippi state flags from its stores, saying the decision was consistent with the company's positions not to sell merchandise with the Confederate flag.
With the move, the nation's largest retailer joins universities, businesses and athletic organizations that are putting pressure on officials in Mississippi to change the state flag's design.
We believe it's the right thing to do, and is consistent with Walmart's position to not sell merchandise with the Confederate flag from stores and online sites, as part of our commitment to provide a welcoming and inclusive experience for all of our customers in the communities we serve, the company said in a statement.
It is part of a broader effort to root out symbols of the Confederacy, including statues of Confederate generals and other monuments from public parks and government property.
The battle flag of the Confederacy is on vivid display at the heart of Mississippi's flag, but previous efforts to alter the design have faltered. All 8 of Mississippi's public universities have stopped flying the flag, along with cities across the state.
Walmart stopped selling merchandise that displayed the Confederate flag in 2015, following the murder of 9 black parishioners in a South Carolina church.
After lagging behind its competitors in starting clinical trials, the French drugmaker Sanofi plans to speed a vaccine development timeline that could yield approval from regulatory authorities sometime next year, perhaps in the first half of 2021, the company said on Tuesday.
The company and its partner in the endeavor, GlaxoSmithKline, originally projected that a vaccine would be available in the later half of next year at the earliest.
Like other contenders in the race for a coronavirus vaccine, Sanofi is eager to push forward. Still, such fast-tracking and intense scale of vaccine production is totally unprecedented, and the future unknown, said Padmini Pillai, an immunologist at MIT.
The Sanofi GSK vaccine contains a laboratory-synthesized version of the coronavirus's spike protein, which decorates the surface of the virus and is crucial to its ability to enter host cells. This so-called recombinant vaccine is also formulated with one of GSK's proprietary adjuvants, compounds that can enhance the body's immune response to a foreign onslaught, in theory strengthening the staying power of a given vaccine.
A combined Phase 1-2 clinical trial for the vaccine, originally scheduled for December 2020, will now begin in September. The goal is to have the recombinant vaccine fully licensed by June 2021.
In news briefings on Tuesday, both companies expressed confidence in their collaboration and its potential to deliver a successful vaccine. Sanofi's history with vaccine development runs deep. Its production lines are responsible for hundreds of millions of doses of the flu vaccine each year.
As all eyes are on prevention of infectious disease through vaccines, this is a pointed moment in time where we are called upon to seek innovative ways to protect public health. Thomas Triumph, Executive Vice President of Sanofi Pasteur, the company's vaccines global business unit, said in a statement.
Stocks on Wall Street rose along with global markets, as investors zeroed in on signs of economic recovery and the prospect for another round of stimulus spending by the government.
The S&P 500 rose less than 0.5%. As they have done for several days recently, technology stocks fared even better than the broader market, with the Nasdaq Composite returning to a record.
The gains came after a turbulent night for financial markets around the world, after one of President Trump's advisors seemed to suggest that a trade deal between the United States and China had been scrapped. But after Mr. Trump took to Twitter, and his surrogates appeared on television to clarify the statement, stocks quickly recovered.
Lifting sentiment were initial surveys of corporate purchasing managers that echoed other signals of a rebound underway in the United States, Britain and Europe. The IHS Markit Composite Purchasing Managers Index for the United States rose to 46.8 in June, up from 37 in May. A reading under 50 still signals economic contraction.
The second quarter started with an alarming rate of collapse, but output and jobs are now falling at far more modest rates in both the manufacturing and service sectors. Chris Williamson, chief business economist at IHS Markit, said in a statement accompanying the data. The improvement will fuel hopes that the economy can return to growth in the third quarter.
Investors were also emboldened by expectations for another round of stimulus spending by Washington. A White House economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, said that it could include tax rebates and direct mail checks, even as he cautioned that nothing had been settled. The trading day began on a more volatile note.
On Monday evening, Peter Navarro, Mr. Trump's trade advisor, said, "It's over," when asked in an interview on Fox News about the trade war pact that was reached between the United States and China in January. The pact had eased trade tensions between the two countries but has since become a source of investor concern. China pledged to increase purchases of American agricultural products and other goods under the pact, but its struggles with the coronavirus pandemic put those promises into doubt.
Later on Monday, Mr. Trump confirmed that the pact was still in force. "The China trade deal is fully intact," Mr. Trump wrote on Twitter. "Hopefully they will continue to live up to the terms of the agreement."
Reporting was contributed by Brooks Barnes, Catherine J. Wu, Michael Corkery, C.J. Hughes, Peter Evis, Alan Rapport, David Gels, Nathaniel Popper, Michael Corkery, Muhammad Hadi, Edmund Lee, Natasha Singer, Martina Steves Gridneff, Julie Cresswell, Niraj Chokshi, Katie Robertson, Mary Williams Walsh and Brooks Barnes.